Alright, so in this video I'm going to talk about how to keep your filament dry. So after you've brought your filament out of the packaging and you've done your initial test prints, everything's coming out in great quality. But how do you store your filament to keep it at that same level of quality, print after print? This is where making sure that your filament stays dry is important. Now, usually when you first get a bag of filament, depending on if it's a spool or if it's freely bounded, it might come in a plastic bag that has been vacuum sealed. But once you open it, the vacuum seal is gone. So a quick solution for that, there are some Ziploc based vacuumers online that essentially you'll take the bag that you have and you can suction out the air and keep it sealed. So I'll put a link in the description below, show you what that looks like. As for other methods, silica or desiccant is always a great way to keep water out of your bags. So getting as much air out of the bag or the container, if you're using a larger bag, if you're using a larger container, if you have a lot of spools of filament, is important. Some methods that I've seen that are pretty ingenious, people tend to use the cereal containers, the plastic cereal containers, and you can find a lot of these different builds on Thingiverse or printables, and they'll repurpose a cereal container made of plastic, and they will fit their spool inside the container and have it thread out from the box itself so that the spool never leaves the box. And only the spool that's being used by your 3D printer is exposed to the air. So that's a really nice method. There are several ways of doing it, but let's say, for instance, that your 3D printer filament has already been exposed to the air. It's already likely full of water, or likely not as good as it was when you first got out of the box because you weren't using simple practices like adding silica gel, etc. There's actually some pretty easy solutions for this. So you can go ahead and, if you have the resources, you can buy something called a filament dehydrator or filament heater. And you can buy this on Amazon or sites like Temu, etc. And they're around the $50 range or so, $40 to $50 range. And they will tumble and dry your filament spool until it's very dry and most of the water is gone. Now, there is a tip or trick that I have for you. If you already have a 3D printer with a hotbed that you can configure the heat for, and all you need to do, quite simply, is to take your spool, and place it on your heater bed. And then on top of that, what you want to do is you want to place a cardboard box over the top of it. A cardboard box about yay high. Put some holes over the top and then start to heat your heating bed and configure it to be heating around 75 degrees. And you can leave that on for about an hour or so. And you'll see that a lot of the water should have dissipated. You don't want to do much hotter than that because, PLA does melt. So you don't want it much hotter, but just hot enough so that it starts to dehydrate a little bit. Another point is if you actually have a dehydrator, like a fruit dehydrator, you could also use that as well. Just be mindful of the temperatures that you are using for your dehydration process. If you like this video and you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Place your comments below. Keep them coming, guys. Thank you. Like and subscribe.